All right, and we are live. Good morning, everybody. This is OSG, Oya Security Growth podcast. I am Adam Gordon, and with me is my always friendly colleague,
Fred Cohen.
Fred Cohen, the father of the computer virus, and we're here to talk about security, growing security companies, and other things of interest to Fred and I, and we are both very interested in a lot of different things. And today I decided to start with balloons, because I think balloons are a lot of fun, and I think in the time of Corona, we need stuff that's fun. So we're going to start off with one of my favorite things. And the reason balloons are one of my favorite things is you think about, how did somebody actually invent this? Think about the time it took to be able to do it and how people did this, and the experimentation and all of the things that they did to get here. It's just amazing that we actually figured out how to do this.
So I'm pretty sure it started out with filming air balloonists, you know, the people that float people up in the air and so forth, and that the smaller balloons came afterwards, but I'm not completely sure. But, you know, I think, you know, what besides visualization, I think music is a good thing to keep people happy. So if you'll sing with me, Corona, Corona. Oh, sorry. Maybe
no. It's the old 70s song, right? My Corona.
Ma. Yep, that's right. Don't worry about that little cough I seem to have. It's not a problem. It's just a touch of the Ebola. It's not.
I don't think Ebola makes you cough, but I think it makes you otherwise pretty uncomfortable.
Well, it has people in coughing.
Oh, I see what you did there, Fred. Nice. So let's go on to our usual topics.
You know, one of the interesting things about sheltering in place and about social distancing. So social distancing does not mean what it says. It's really about physical distancing, not about social distancing. In fact, we should be using the internet to be closer together. and even though we can't physically touch, you know, we can still communicate safely.
Yes. Well, until the coronavirus starts getting into our computers.
No, I'm sorry. It's not going to make the leap to computers, at least not for the foreseeable future. So that, you know, there are lots of interesting things associated with the virus, but I think what's really important is that we understand that from a business standpoint, especially a cybersecurity business standpoint, this is an opportunity to be very successful in helping people do what they should have been doing anyway a long time ago, and that's, you know, so-called digital transformation.
Right.
So a lot of companies I deal with and that I've, you know, worked with on a consulting basis for, you know, many years, this is not a huge change for them. They already had the work at home thing down. They already had, you know, their infrastructure and their technology supported. They already had every worker was working at home some of the time, or at least the vast majority of them. And so those companies, you know, are well positioned, and, you know, most of them are doing okay, right? But the other companies, the ones that delayed their transformation, are now in a situation where they're going to have to trade things off. And so we have a standard assessment process that we're making available to, you know, key customers. And, you know, part of that is we've always said they're, you know, urgent and important things that you need to do. Right? And then, you know, so right now they're emergent, but it's still, so we had an assessment, you know, many years ago. We had somewhere, in fact, you know, those videos I'm doing of, you know, cybersecurity stories. Mm-hmm. But I guess the urgent one was you need to get a secondary data center in place immediately because your current one's at the end of an airport runway in a flood zone and it's in the basement, and or something to that effect. And we pointed out in that study that one of their competitors had gone out of business the year before when they had a data center failure with a single data center. So, you know, hello, you haven't even learned from the people next door. Well, you know, in this situation, you need to identify what's urgent and important. Yeah. And one of the things that most cybersecurity companies do not do is is they don't understand the nature of the business they're dealing with in order to find a solution that's workable. Rather, they're focused on their solution. And, you know, if you have a nail, everything looks like a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the problem is today they're saying, oh, you can solve this problem, but today that's just not a priority. The priority today is, you know, holy crap, I have 5,000, 10,000, 200, however many people working for me that can't go anywhere. Right? So, you know, they have to work from home now. And, you know, if we haven't done that before, we need to transition them now. And we're obviously losing lots of money along the way, and we're worried about going out of business and so forth. So, you know, that's the immediate challenge. So one of the things we see, of course, is all this spam. Oh my God. So many cybersecurity companies sending me emails saying, oh, now's the time to implement. No, it's not. This is not the time to add your VPN implementation into my enterprise. This is the time to get my workers working from afar. And the fact that I don't have your VPN, you know, is not stopping me from doing that. So this, you know, because of the prioritization, right? Availability is critical.
Right.
To remote workers right now, more important than confidentiality. In fact, HIPAA, they've relaxed the regulation saying, well, crap, if it's not secret, it doesn't matter, because you know what? I mean, people are dying.
Yeah.
So, we don't want anybody to know that they have coronavirus. Well, excuse me, they're in the hospital. Everybody's going to get coronavirus. Stop it, right?
Well, hopefully not everybody.
It's a pandemic. That's basically definitional.
No,
right?
That's not it. No. The definition of a pandemic is not that everybody gets it. It's just that a lot of people gets it and it spreads very quickly.
No, it's pretty close to the definition.
Well, you want to look at Webster's?
Well, you know, pandemic, you know, I'm looking it up. Hang on, boy, all the other stuff, definition, there's, you know, one of the great things about the internet is that we no longer use books to do this. Adjective of a disease, prevalent over a whole country or the world, okay?
Right, that's what Wikipedia says too. Disease epidemic.
Which is what I thought, right. An epidemic is different. An epidemic is something that's spreading at a spread rate with enough population, so a lot of people are going to get sick. But a pandemic means everybody.
No, it just means it's over a wide area.
No, it's prevalent, right? It prevails.
Yeah, over a wide area. Anyway.
No, it's not just that it's widespread.
Fred, nobody's interested in hearing us debate about the meaning of words. So let's talk about something else. Here's something that I found this morning that I thought was just great. You know, you wander around doing research on the internet and you just stumble across little things. And, you know, for those of you who don't know Fred and I, we're both Jews. And here is the Jewish market report for a huge opportunity in global cognitive security in Russia, which I just found to be
wait. So first of all, you know, I believe that religion should not take part in any such discussions, but it is bizarre in my mind that there is first of all, Russia, I thought, had largely illegalized religion, and they certainly deprecated a lot of the Jewish sanctuaries and population during the Cold War period.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of a bizarre thing, you know.
It is. That's why it came to the surface. It was, oh, this is definitely an outlier here. And I just, you know, it's amazing to me that things like this actually exist because somebody thought that there was enough of a market that they actually bothered to do this. And because nobody did this because they just wanted to. So, you know, it's just an amazing comment on the size and spread of the various parts of the security market that stuff like this is actually able to exist.
Is there an Islamic market report?
Didn't go that far, but certainly
Well, I
that
got
would
to
have been
find
one of the
out.
next questions.
Yeah, what's the Islamic cognitive security market? That's going to be huge.
Well, maybe I'll look for that when I do the research for next week's podcast. So anyway,
So even the term cognitive security is a fairly recent piece of terminology. So it's very strange that it would spread this quickly to this many people. So, it's a breakthrough in marketing technology, right?
Yeah. Right. And, this is very recent, March 3rd. So, that's definitely a growing market. And I was amazed at, when I did the Google search for cognitive security, at just how much there was. And it was all pretty much said pretty much exactly the same thing. It was really boring. So anyway,
Yeah.
this is the other thing.
One of the interesting things about cognitive security today, and recognize that to a large extent, cognitive security is about differentiating truth from fiction, right? And so we have a serious problem with cognitive security, not just from the influence operations against the elections, but the politics right now is such that. So you see these video sequences of the current administration, over the last month, day by day, saying nothing to see here. It's just a fiction. There's nothing real. And then about a couple days ago, they flipped over to holy crap! We're going to shut everything down. And it's a very strange thing to watch.
Yes.
Because people who have been honest and telling, not necessarily the only way to view it, but at least making truthful, factual statements and trusting in people with expertise. They may be very surprised by the rate at which exponential means something different from what they thought it meant, which was just fast. And oh my God, it's really explosive, right? But the other side of it is they are not caught as just being completely wrong, right? And they don't have to say, well, what I said yesterday was completely true, and the same thing is still true today, except it's the opposite thing. So we're seeing a lot of that, and it's one of the interesting tests, right? When we talk about integrity, right, which is sort of a fundamental of doing business with people, is that you can trust what they say, and about trust models, which are fundamental aspects of security, right? Then when you see these cognitive flips, it's problematic. It's also a problem for people that are selling and advertising right now, especially people advertising cybersecurity, where all of a sudden, oh my God, my nail also kills coronavirus. No, no, it doesn't. And by the way, coronavirus is not a computer virus. You don't worry about it. But somebody will sell that, right?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
So one of the these problems include exaggeration, people going too far, bad taste, which I have. And I wrote a whole bunch of articles, sort of day by day. I've been writing articles and posting them about, different aspects of this from a cybersecurity standpoint, as well as from a human, standpoint, just, telling people what I thought they should be doing now, not 3 or 4 days from now.
Mm-hmm.
And publishing what I told my kids, stuff like that.
Good fatherly advice. I like that.
Well, whether it's good advice or not, I mean, let's remember, parents telling their kids things, they always think it's good advice, but the kids may completely disagree with them. And the kids may be right. I mean, it's not. I mean, I was a kid once, right? but I think, it is a job of a parent to share their feelings and their views with their children. And good or bad, right? That's just part of what it is. It's the reproduction of the meme, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so, and sharing, that aspect of yourself with the rest of the world is sort of a very interesting version of what you do every day, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, you're always, dealing with and talking about emotions and feelings and that aspect of how you brand and market and tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I'm generally, Mr. Fact,
Right.
But, it's not always that way. It's not always all that way. And there's some advantages to that emotional side. On the other hand, emotions at times of crisis, right now, people's emotions are going to get them desperate and crazy.
Yes.
Right? They're going to go shooting people because they think, oh my God, it's all going to end.
Yep.
That this 2 weeks, oh, you're going to be at home for 2 weeks. No, I'm sorry. And now, after a couple of days later, well, it's not 2 weeks. Yeah, the current one's for 2 weeks, but it's going to change. And now we hear, well, July or August, maybe. And then we're hearing estimates of, sometime early next year.
Oh God, really? No, I hadn't heard that.
Oh no, the medical has said that all along.
Mm.
I mean, look, China had this really starting in December. It's currently, mid-March, and they really cut it back according to their statistics. But, the reporting and the reporters that just got kicked out for reporting it,
right,
we're indicating, well, yeah, it's not exactly dead. It's still spreading. It's just not as not at that extreme level yet. Italy, the theory is they're 7 to 10 days ahead of the U.S. Yesterday, a credible governor of New York, along with his health professionals, and he used to be a guy in charge of health. And the expert who did the statistical studies are saying that the numbers we have today are more than 10 times lower than the reality because we're not measuring enough.
Ah.
So, today it's around 10,000 or something in the U.S., something like that,
Mm-hmm.
which means it's really more than 100,000.
Well, if that guy's right.
Right. I'm just telling you what the estimates say, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And these are the scientists versus the, that is actually what you would expect, right? And it's going to go up by about a factor of 10 every, I think they're now saying the factor of 10 every 6 days is
Wow.
that growth level. So here we are, this Thursday. So by next Wednesday, if it's actually 100,000 a day instead of 10,000, it's going to be 1 million.
Right.
And then the week after that, 10 million, and the week after that, 100 million. And that's where the original estimates were, it's going to peak somewhere between 75 and 150 million in the US. So that, that's the peak. And then of course it comes down. And if you look at the curves, the reduction in it takes a long time.
Yeah.
So, and then there's, just the fact that when that curve gets up towards the top, you run out of medical resources. And then again, the current estimates are hospitalizations required for 20 to 25%. That's as of now historical figures of the people who are infected. And of those, half of them or something need ventilators. And so if you don't have enough ventilators at the peak, as they're apparently already now doing in Italy, they're choosing who is going to be helped and who's just going to be left to die because they don't have a choice. Somebody has to die and somebody has to live, or at least try to. So if you get to where there's 100 million cases and 25 million are in need of hospitalization and 10 million need ventilators, there's only a couple 100,000 ventilators in the US. So it could be in 4 weeks, there are millions and millions of people dying, unless you can shelter in place and stop people from getting it, slow that curve, but also, of course, make a hell of a lot of ventilators.
Right.
And so, what should have happened, maybe it is happening, I don't know, is people that make ventilators should be making them like mad. people are making tests should be making them and deploying them like mad, and we should be testing like mad. Hospital beds should be made available as crazy as possible, and we should stop, the social distancing thing is a very nice way of saying, stay the crap away from me. Don't get me, and Adam, we're over 60.
Yeah.
So, that we're in the, 3 to 4% range of dying.
I think I have a higher risk of dying by getting out of bed every morning than that, actually.
No, the odds of dying when you get out of bed every morning are less than the 3.5%, or else you wouldn't last a year.
Well, I don't know that that's true, but we could do the math.
Yeah, well, you should. But smoking is, of course, a bad, if you have, if you're smoking or you have these other diseases. So people in their 80s, they're now saying it's more than 25% chance.
Wow.
That you'll die.
Wow.
So stay away from grandma. Meanwhile, in Florida, spring break, there are big crowds on the beaches, not being 6 feet away from each other, and they're bringing it home. Now, look, I have to say, when I was in college, I was not enamored to my parents at times. But, that does not mean you should be bringing coronavirus to their house and wiping them out. Because you might.
Mom, I love you. Here's some Ebola.
Just a touch of the Ebola.
Just a touch. Only my liver is liquefying.
Yeah, well, Ebola, we have an advantage in Ebola that you are not infecting until you're bleeding and perspiring like mad.
Yeah.
So you're being detectable before you're killing the people next to you. And the other one is you die really quickly with Ebola. Almost everybody just dies within a couple of days or maybe a week at the outside. So you don't live long and spread it. Whereas Corona, it's 7 to 14 days before you show symptoms.
Right.
And you're spreading it during that time, apparently. So,
Or shedding. Viral shedding, that's what they call it.
Shedding?
Shedding, viral shedding. That's how you infect other people, is skin cells come off of you and they go places and they have...
No, but apparently it's not skin cells. This one's carried in when you sneeze or cough in these droplets.
Yeah, well, however this gets shed, that's what they call it, viral shedding.
Oh, well, there you go. Because I thought shedding meant... But yeah, so look, hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Stay the crap away from me, man.
Yeah, no kidding. So with that, let's talk about something else a little bit funner, which is this article that I found. One of the topics that we said we wanted to talk about during one conversation was corporate influence operations. And I thought, as you said before, there's so much misinformation going out about Corona right now. I thought this might be a good time just to have a quick chat about how we could, as normal everyday people, help ourselves and figure it out, what's reliable, what's not, start at least putting that into the conversation, because I think that's a good thing to educate people about.
So you think there are 8 ways? Because, people write these articles about the 8 ways and the 6 ways. And
I know. I publish on Medium all the time, and my next article, I think, is going to be 16 reasons why you should never read any article with a number in the title. So
I think, that's a good one. But on the other hand, I write articles with numbers in the title. So my article that I just, pushed out like a day or so ago, live, online, remote, work from home, the 37 things you absolutely must know, right? and the first thing it says is, and there aren't 37 things.
Okay,
there are many more than that, Please, don't be ridiculous.
But this came from the RAND organization, and it's in the Financial Times. I think this is Financial Publishing, so reasonably good source.
So there tends to be that reasonably well-known, historically accurate media outlets do a substantial amount of checking on their stories, and the RAND Corporation is certainly a think tank that's for a long time been doing this. And Foreign Policy, that's a well-known publication, right? So yeah, those are all good indicators, right? We substitute looks, appearances for detailed fact checking as a shortcut, so we don't have to try and test and examine everything on our own.
Right.
So that's a good one. Peer-reviewed journal articles in professional fields associated with professional societies are another good source of information. Although people do lie and cheat on them,
Mm-hmm.
but still, on the whole, they're better than Billy Bob said so. And I don't mean to offend Billy Bob, because Jane can do it too, right?
So what I'm looking for, Fred, from you is as a normal person, what might I be able to do if somebody sent me something and I say, oh, wait a minute, and I even have a question? What do I do? How can I tell whether it's an influence campaign or it's actual, or to be?
All right. So first of all, they're all influence campaigns. Anytime somebody is communicating with you, they're trying to influence you.
Okay.
I mean, otherwise, why are they communicating with you? Just to get feelings off their, all right, they can get something off their chest that way, that's fine. But so influence between people is what we do. That's part of how we love each other and hate each other and, get things done.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing to do is recognize that it's all influence. And then the question is, what's the motivation of this person with respect to you? Is that somebody that loves you, that's trying to make you safe, or somebody that's trying to take advantage of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the techniques. There's lots of techniques. And if you just look for the specific techniques, there's a really good series being put out on LinkedIn by Rand Waltzman, who actually works at the Rand Corporation and Influence Operations. And it's slide after slide from his course on influence operations that talks about the methods people use. So being aware of those methods helps you to recognize them when you see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a book on this, called Fraud, Spies, and Lies and How to Defeat Them, about 15 or 16 years ago, with the pictures made by my son. You should be able to download it from the internet. It's free.
Okay.
And so that describes a lot of fraud methods and a lot of the way people lies and a lot of the psychological research into this. And it has pictures. So that,
and if anybody wants any of these links, write to one of us and we will send them to you. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, they're out on the internet. We're not trying to make money on them. We're trying to make sure that people know about them.
Yes.
But, and by the way, so that's another one, right? So there are different kinds of frauds and cons, right? So a short con, they're just trying to get money from you right now. But a long con, they're building up trust, and then they take you for everything you have.
Right.
Right. So it's not like, we're not being conned. So one of the interesting things is, do you get value for your money, right? It's a risk management practice that says you don't put at risk more than you can afford to lose.
Right.
And you get into a love relationship. Look, there are people that, honey traps and honeypots, right? They'll get into a love relationship, have sex with you, get married to you to take advantage of you, And in the intelligence field, this is done all the time. So, and one of the great keys to countering the love thing is to turn off your ego a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, no offense, Adam, I think you're a fine-looking man, but if a 22-year-old girl, falls in love with your body, probably you should question it, especially if you have access to national security. And even worse, if you happen to be in Russia at the time. Well, I'm just saying. It's like, and which is not to say that you shouldn't fall in love with her. She might fall in love with you, and you might end up with a good life.
Yeah, who knows?
It's not. It's just that even though you fall in love with her, you shouldn't give her any classified information.
That's generally a good tip. And I think with that, we're going to close this week's episode. You have spent another half hour of your life that you'll never get back with Fred and Adam. We are the Oya Security Group, and we help grow cybersecurity companies.
Okay, but look, if you're sheltering in place, this is almost as good as Netflix. Maybe better.
And it's free.
Hey.
And it's free.
No, I'm just saying we should charge.
Well, we're not going to do that anytime
No,
soon.
come on, $5 a month, get 1 million subscribers.
Oh, sure. Done.
We can pay. All right, excellent. All right.
Stay safe, everybody.